An excerpt from The Phantasmagorical Adventures of Celia P. Featherwrinkle, Volume 1, Draft 2, by Demertha Offaly. Step on step on step on step, the noise of her tin-shod feet hitting the floor resounded off the four walls around her as she walked. The sound made a spiraling pattern of tiny echoes ahead and behind her, as Celia made her way towards what exactly she did not know. The enchanted metal clogs that had been gifted to her by the friendly goblin kept her feet perfectly comfortable and legs unstrained by the exertion. Still, she felt as though she had been walking forever. That was an exaggeration, but only a modest one, for the endless hallway stretched out in both directions to a length that matched its name quite accurately. So far, Celia had walked for long enough to see the material of the hallway change from plaster to wood to masonry to slate to unhewn rock to something very odd that could only be described as painted porcelain, and back and forth amongst each of these several times over. For the first however long, she had tried to mark the time by counting the doors along both sides, with a few odd examples on the floor and even in the ceiling. But that quickly grew more irritating than distracting, and she resolved to simply keep going. The wise old hippogriff had promised her that she would know the right door when she saw it, and the further she went, the more firmly she resolved to follow its instructions. "Do not look with your eyes, young wizardess. Look with your heart. It is not enough to find the right door. You must first decide with confidence that each of the other doors is wrong." Celia was doing her best to follow these instructions, aided only by the light from her orb and the reassurance of her flying squirrel familiar skittering about her cloak. And then she stopped. She had come to a door on her left-hand side. It was the door of her room in the old house on Marsh Street. Not that it was similar to or looked like it. It was that same door, down all the way to the small cracks in the wood and the chips in the paint. This was the door that was unlike all other doors. This had to be it. She turned the knob, and the old door swung open on its own, just as it had for as long as she could remember. On the other side was her room, just as she remembered it from before her family moved. The chair painted with a green leaf pattern she was too big for now. Granny's quilt spread out on the bed, just like always. But next to that little bed, so large that the walls of the room seemed to stretch around it, was that thing from her dreams. The shiny black body, the great furry neck, the pale human hands where its feet should have been, and that face, all full of teeth, with the horn. She had taken to calling it the shark normality in her mind. But now, for the first time, she met it face to face, and from the shark mouth it spoke.
"Good morning, Celia P. Featherwrinkle. We have much to talk about."
In the city of Greyhawk, 5 individuals are united by circumstance. A brewer priest, a haunted swordsman, a living relic, a caustic criminal, and a golem without a past. With the drawing of a single card, their lives have been turned upside down. Welcome to The Chimera, a role-playing adventure podcast. Our campaign this season is called Misplaced, It takes place in the venerable setting of Greyhawk, kind of, and we're playing with a modified version of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I'm Vin LeBate, and I play Goldeneye Drakashi, a Dragonborn rogue. Joining me today are...
I'm Braden Lamb, and I'm playing Balmo, a halfling cleric.
I'm Jeffrey Bard, and I play Sir Simeon, the human sword mage.
I'm Josh Halbachner, and I play Ashlar, a warforged sorcerer.
I'm Kacey Smith, and I play Latchkey, a shardmind with the dual classes of Battlemind and Scion.
And I'm Kelly Weissman Asbruth Jackson, the Dungeon Master.
Now, let's get started.
So, a reminder. You're in a room. The room has this same very plain, very seamless white design that the whole of this operation seems to. Distinctively for this room, the ceiling is a good bit lower, but the floor drops away after a space between the wall. So from the wall, there's an expansive floor that wraps around the entire room, but then the floor drops away in the middle into a pit. And in the pit, there are these 4 strange giant meat flower things, like the bizarre alien unnamed object that you saw in the second room. Those are in the 4 corners of the pit, and in the center of the pit, all of which is veiled in this veneer of transparent green energy, in the center of the pit is the creature we believe was created when Demertha touched that first strange meat flower thing. And this creature, let me describe it. It has a head very clearly like a shark. Pointed nose, big teeth, lots of teeth rather. Eyes way back on the sides in the way that a shark's face is. From the head, which by the way is very large, this is a large creature, so it's probably somewhere on the order of 12 feet tall, something like that. From the shark's head, that connects to a very long S-curved neck that is it is bent like it is a very flexible creature, like maybe an eel or something, but it's covered in a brown fur. That neck connects to a body which is essentially an enormous beetle, enormous black beetle. That's what it looks like. Also on that kind of neck / maybe it's sort of a torso or a thorax, there are 2 arms. The left arm is an enormous crustacean claw, and the right arm is a long tentacle with suckers on it, like an octopus or a squid tentacle, but it ends in some sort of a strange like ball that glows. And the main body is a giant black beetle's sort of body, carapace, as I said, and from that emerge 6 lower limbs that appear to be human arms, in that they have the proportions of arms and not of legs, and they end in full 5-digited 4 fingers, 1 thumb hands.
What is it doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. And the shark has a horn. Shark has a horn. It's just sitting there. It appears to be sort of frozen in space, like it's totally motionless.
Okay.
These are the images you wanted to see, huh, Demertha?
I looked at some of them. I mean, that's true. I've never seen whatever that thing, maybe is pointing at the head. I've never seen one of those before. I was curious about it. I didn't think that it was going to do this. I'm sorry. I have a lot of trouble with the idea that this is somehow my responsibility. This feels like, it feels decidedly unfair.
No, that's I understand. This was we're all in over our heads here, I think.
Speaking of over their heads, you're sort of craning to see over the edge of this thing, right?
Right.
Palma?
Coming this summer on Sci-Fi.
I'm gonna give you some out of character information. which is that this is not a canonical monster.
Didn't sound like one. At first I thought it might be, but now, with the hands as feet, not feeling it.
Oh,
Started with a shark head. I was thinking Bulette.
Yep.
But
yeah.
But long neck quickly takes that out of the picture.
yeah. Unless it's some kind of new spin on the Catoblepus.
Actually, I will say there is a lot of canonical monster in this, but it is not a single canonical monster.
Oh man.
And this is, I think, the first time that I've given you a non-canonical monster, so that's why I'm highlighting it. Okay, so yeah. So, like I said, it appears frozen in time, like it's not moving at all.
So considering Ashlar's last roll, does he think this is a owlbear?
Our roll wasn't that bad.
Okay, so it's not moving. Mm-hmm. The meat flowers aren't doing anything. There's this sort of miasma of green energy in this pit. Latchy's going to drop the wooden dog down into the pit.
Oh, poor dog, man. Yeah, that was mine.
Comes back every time.
It comes to rest on the surface of the green energy field. It doesn't go further.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it sort of probably hits it and bounces a little bit and skitters across it until it runs out of momentum.
So it's sort of sitting in the middle of the energy field on top of
probably not. It's probably not in the middle, but yes, it's in there.
Let's go see what's in a different room.
Wait, actually, Latchkey kind of walks over to look at that strange panel with the lights and the gewgaws before we leave the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of lights and gewgaws.
Any words or instructions?
No labeling.
Okay.
Just a whole bunch of buttons, and switches, and flickery lights, different colors.
Wow. We have different colors. Princess, what is this panel?
This panel is the control system for the delivery bay.
Let's not touch this.
Agreed. So what do we think was down the other hallways from the main meat flower room?
Princess, what was down the other hallways from the recombination room?
The recombination room connects to the transportation chamber, the delivery bay, the reactor hall, and the specimens gallery.
Specimens gallery.
It's a gallery. They probably can't get us. It's not the specimens loose room.
It's not the specimens arena.
Yeah.
Specimens Thunderdome.
The specimens buy two, get one free.
Yeah, I'm thinking we need to check that out. Are we all right to leave well enough alone here?
I think as long as we don't press any buttons, we are. I go over to this one. This door over here. And I touch it.
Yep. It opens. And there's another corridor, same as basically all of them have been, for a little ways, and then a staircase going down to another door.
Yeah, sure. Let's go down.
Okay. I'm going to go to the other door and open it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I touch it with my flesh hand.
That takes you back to the western door in the transportation chamber.
Oh.
Okay.
The room with the various daises.
Oh.
Oh. Really?
Interesting. Like, kind of like the faces of a cube, maybe?
Oh, good call. You want to go check the other door, Ash?
Which other door?
The one over on the left-hand side of the green room.
The delivery room?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I assume Sarsimeon touches this? Okay. That door opens. Again, short corridor for just a few feet, and then another staircase descending. A little bit more corridor, and another one of these doors.
This one I touch with my flesh hand.
Okay. You're all proud of yourself for having fleshy hands. That door opens. onto yet another one of these very large rooms. I just want to highlight again that last room, the ceiling was lower and the overall width was considerably smaller. So now we're back into the same very large, plain white, brightly lit sort of room. It has, so you're entering it effectively from the eastern side. You're coming in through the eastern entrance, or if you go in, rather. There's another door on the opposite wall, so at the western wall. There's a door in the middle of the southern wall. There are two doors on the northern wall, equidistant apart, not in the middle, but over on the sides. The room at the north end contains two stairwells that go down into the floor and basically a glass box that extends the entire height of the room. So in between those two, the two stairwells go down into the floor. They start on opposite sides and go towards each other down into the floor. And then in between them, in the space in between them, is this glass tube that comes up out of the floor and extends up into the ceiling. You can see that it extends into, there's a hole in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there is a space on the southern face of the glass tube. There you could walk into it and step in the space within the tube. And then in the middle of the room, occupying really a huge amount of the middle of the room. Are people going to this room?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In the center of the room, we have three large, transparent cylinders with metal bases and metal caps. There is a large metal tube running, so there are three in a row, east to west. There's a large metal tube running from the easternmost to the middle one, and another one running from the middle one to the westernmost. Inside of these glass chamber things, the easternmost of them is full of, well, okay, how do I describe this? The easternmost and the westernmost of these two chambers have what appear to be sort of the same kind of thing in it, but one of them is all kind of blackish and one of them is all kind of white. They both glow in their way, but one of them is glowing with essentially a negative energy, like it's sucking the light out of the area around it, and the other one is glowing with a white, more conventional light.
Mm-hmm.
The things that are glowing are sort of like large spheres with a bunch of spindly tendrils coming off of them that move about by undulating and pushing off of some invisible substance and floating around. I don't know that any of your characters have seen a jellyfish before, but it would be kind of like a jellyfish, although I want to stress that they're really spherical and not the more kind of like a cone or a dome in the way that a conventional Earth jellyfish is. So basically, these bulbous, jellyfishy kind of energy things, black ones in the easternmost chamber and white ones in the westernmost chamber, and in the middle chamber, there is some kind of an energy storm going on. There are cracks, or what could be. They appear like they could be cracks in the central chamber, the one in the middle, but they have been maybe filled in with some sort of a silvery substance. But the reason why I'm describing them as cracks is that they look like cracks in glass, right? You know, your characters know the way that glass can crack, and they have the appearance of, okay, there was like a crack here and then it got sealed. So that's what's going on with the stuff in the center of the room. I should also mention, while this room is just as white and featureless and without seam or detail as all the other rooms so far have been. There is a bunch of scorching all around kind of the center of the room, like a sort of a black, basically look like burn marks. There's some damaging to the floor that goes along with that, and a little bit on some of the walls. And over towards the northeastern corner of the room, on the eastern wall, there is what kind of looks like a permanent shadow, like something. It's maybe the burn mark in the shape of a silhouette, the silhouette of a female human or humanesque humanoid creature. And when you enter the room, a contraption of some sort floats out from somewhere. It must have been sort of temporarily hidden by this row of 3 glass chambers. It comes out from around them, nearby to the party. Its body looks like about the size of like a beer barrel. So a large wooden barrel, except that this one is clearly made out of metal. That's the main body. It hangs in the air, though, the body part probably about 5-6 feet off of the ground. And down from the base of that sort of barrel-shaped form, there are 9 different limbs that are they're articulated about sort of like roughly like a human arm. They have one more joint than that, though. And they end in pincers, metal pincers. And there is one sort of glass orb at the front of this thing that one might guess visually, just from looking at it, is an eye. And that cruises over to where the group is standing and says in a somewhat ethereal voice, "Good, I have been waiting."
Hey, what's brewing?
Oh my god.
Thanks for that, Braden.
How long were you waiting for that?
Oh, just since you started describing tanks.
Oh, nice.
Just added with the beer barrel shaped critter here. Yeah, Balmo has blown up enough fermentation tanks to know what that looks like, and it seems like they're not taking care of whatever they're doing here.
I have made emergency repairs to the central reactor chamber.
How long have you been waiting exactly?
37,543,210 cycles.
Okay. I'm going to say start, and you say stop when a cycle ends. Start. Anyway, so tell us what your... Is this the reactor room we were told about?
This is the reactor hall.
What happened here?
There was damage to the central reactor chamber. I repaired it.
Who are you again?
I maintain the reactor chamber.
Oh boy.
I maintain the reactor hall, excuse me.
Can you tell us about that shadow on the wall, the one that looks like a humanoid?
That is the result of the damage to the central reactor chamber.
Was someone helping you repair it?
No one ever helps me.
What is it you would like us to do?
Permanent repairs to the central reactor chamber are required.
What happens if it's not repaired?
One of the arms extends and points to the burnt shadow. Things like that.
How would the reactor be repaired? We have no experience with reactor chambers.
Where's Molly Harrow?
I know, right? Molly is so jealous somewhere right now.
That is not a question that I expected. The floating mass of arms, basically, moves up to Latchkey, and its eye widens and not literally widens. Within the glass sphere, there's some sort of something like an iris, and that sort of widens and then narrows again. I was expecting members of the Chimera Project.
Latchkey reaches into their pouch and puts on their ring and shows it to the...
Nice.
You are not a familiar member to me.
It has been many cycles since you have seen anyone at the Chimera Project, from what you have just said.
That is correct. The energy storm inside that central chamber has sort of died out. So it's been fading out as you've been talking. And once it's dwindling to just about the light level of a set of coals, there's some sort of commotion inside of both of the two side chambers. And you can, if somebody was watching, they would see that one each of those black energy things and the white energy things gets sucked down into the base of their respective chambers, and then they both pop up into the central chamber, presumably go through those tubes, and collide. And there's a horrendous explosion inside of the central glass chamber, and then the same sort of energy storm you were seeing before, although much, much brighter than when you came in.
Okay. Is that supposed to happen? Lashley kind of points to the energy happening in the center tube.
That is the start of a new cycle.
Ah.
So, stop?
I misunderstood the question. That is in character.
Ash, any thoughts on this?
I'm just kind of staring into the vats at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Are you paying much attention to this floaty thing? Or are you more drawn to just...
Probably only out of the corner of my eye.
Okay. So it's going to take Ash a little while then, but eventually, in the course of talking, and the fact that especially it moves around to go look at Latchkey, in the way the arm is constructed, this thing is all metal. But other than that, there are some very clear similarities between the way that you are built and the way that it is built.
Oh, goodness.
What kind of similarities?
So there's a distinctive style to that all the relic folk share, right? They all have different sort of patterning and design flourishes, but the essential characteristics of like the way that the pieces fit together are all basically the same. This thing's arms look a lot like relic folk arms, although they're longer and have an extra joint. Their hands aren't right, but the arms are similar. And although it doesn't have any wooden components, you can see ways in which there's sort of metal in places that the wood would be. Also, the eyes are it's like a giant relic folk eye. The glass sphere, the interior iris, it's way too big and there's just one of them, but otherwise it looks like your eyes look. I mean, you know what a relic folk eye looks like.
It's floating?
It's floating, yeah.
And it's how many limbs? Like
9.
9. How high off the ground is it floating?
So the main body is pretty high up, but then the limbs extend down from that. So the eye is basically the eye, which is at the base of the barrel shape, is basically at roughly Ash's head height.
I'm going to take one hand and kind of part the limbs like you would like a bead curtain and duck my head underneath.
How forward.
Yeah. We have different definitions of modesty amongst the relic folk.
Yeah. These arms are heavy and they don't part like a bead curtain. But the thing appears to go along with it. So it sort of moves them out of the way in order to accommodate the motion of Ash's hand.
Is there, is it just featureless or is there, any kind of like propulsion system that's visible?
There's no obvious propulsion system. I mean, the arms do connect into the main body of the thing.
So this is more of an out of character question because
Sure.
I know this. I don't know if Latchkey does, but you said all relic folk have like a mark, right?
They have a keyhole.
Like, okay, don't they also have like some kind of mark of their creator or something?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that Josh. I think
Yeah.
you established that.
Yeah.
You want to talk about
Oh, okay.
I'd have to find what the name of it was. Give me just a second.
Oh, but there definitely is, Josh, in the area you're looking at where the arms connect to the housing. There is a keyhole down there.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Whoa.
Remember, when I say keyhole, these things don't. I mean, you recognize it as a relic folk keyhole,
Right.
but they're very strange keys, right?
Okay, yeah. So I called them signatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my question was
so-
if this thing had one.
So yeah. So and I do think Latchkey would know about that. So, yeah. Is there anything? So there's a keyhole. Is there anything obvious, like a signature or a mark that's distinct from?
I need you to refresh my memory. What does it look like for Ash? What's Ash's signature look like?
Ash's is on his right leg, and it's basically like an abstract pictogram of fire. There's an axe and a wand underneath it, and there's 3 birds above it.
Gotcha. And what we've established is that every relic folks is unique.
It's all unique. They're all placed somewhere special, and the general cultural assumption is that these are like placed there by the creator of the relic folk or whatever to say something about like their purpose or whatever mystical mumbo jumbo.
So they all look different, and they're all in different places on the body, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So the way you tell them, the way that you say that, like, that is definitely the signature, as opposed to like he's got tattooing, he's got a bunch of other stuff on him. The way it's there's something distinctive about the way it's engraved or something.
It's probably like embossed and colored in some way that's consistent, I guess. And then otherwise, it would just be the fact that it's like there's one of them, I guess, and they're small.
Okay, on the front of this thing, a little ways up I'm going to call it a torso. I mean the barrel shape. A little ways up from the eye, there is a geometric image, which is a cube with a smaller cube inside it, and lines from each of the corners of the smaller cube going out to the interior of the corners of the larger cube. And it has the same unique engraving style that you would recognize that as a...
Now, how much within the relic folk community that I've seen, how much variation in physical like form is there? Because I know we're not like all identical, but like...
There is significant variation in physical form in terms of basically like stature and dimension. And there are some real outliers in terms of, like, there's occasionally something as weird as like a relic folk with 4 arms. Right? That would be like the uppermost limit.
I'm kind of thinking of like the Transformers or something. Is kind of the human forms of the Transformers is like a level of variation we're talking.
I think that's a very good analogy.
Okay.
But
so
nothing on this
is
order.
Way outside of
way past possibilities.
So this is like a relic folk dinosaur, basically. In my,
I think that would be a good sort of way of it. For what he would take it as, I think yes. I think that would.
I'm gonna tap Latchkey on the shoulder and say conference.
Latchkey just looks over at Ash, and in his head he hears, "What is it, Ashlar?"
This thing, I have never seen one remotely like this, but this somehow is relic folk. It's got a signature.
We know that the Chimera Project wanted something on the ship, and we know that it was the thing that came after us was looking for something. you had an item that you were bringing with you.
Yep.
Specifically, you still have it with you because you haven't left it
Yeah.
anywhere, right? You're still dragging this thing in a crate.
Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of the object that you brought on this journey?
Now, out of character, refresh me a little bit here. So I met with, and I'm forgetting the NPC's name here, but I met with the person, and the idea was that this had this ancient writing on it, and there was a belief that this was significant to the ancient forge or whatever it's called.
The forge.
I'm forgetting all the names here, but that was the general the general gist of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to Latchkey then, I have reason to believe it is connected to the birth of my species.
And now we find a strange and arcane member of your species in this place?
Yep.
That seems too unlikely to be mere coincidence.
Yes, it does.
Could this be the forge your people speak of?
He has the big energy sighing effect again. What concerns me is that we have seen something like a construction function here, but only for, he's going to kind of gesture with a thumb, meat. This is the first sign of anything more mineral in nature. And for Balmo and Sir Simeon, you do see Ash like making these kind of hand gestures while he and Latchkey are basically just facing each other, obviously not talking or otherwise making sounds that you can hear, just so you're clear.
Mm-hmm.
Just to while this is going on, Sir Simeon and Balmo, what are you doing?
Honestly, I am probably looking at the silhouette that's on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to not get freaked out by it, but also, trying to appreciate the kind of power that it represents.
Mm-hmm. So it's definitely the silhouette of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, it's definitely the silhouette of someone dressed as a woman. The silhouette is clearly wearing a dress, and a nice dress with a shape to it. So that's how you can tell that it's a dress and just a shadow. Silhouette appears to have long hair. It's too tall to be Callista.
Thank God. Okay.
You can tell that it's too tall.
I'm like, where are you going with this go?
It's marginally too tall to be a human female.
Okay.
So we're talking like pushing 7-ish feet then.
Pushing 7-ish feet. Slender but tall.
I was a little bit suspecting some Doctor Who time ghost kind of nonsense.
Always be on the watch for time ghosts.
Balmo's been checking out the reactor. Like his best guess is that they would probably have to shut the thing down in order to properly fix it. Maybe even replace the middle bit. Extrapolating his knowledge of brewery to crazy energy science. But speaking of energy, is he getting any kind of a sense of do these creatures seem like they're made of, what is it, positive energy, like from, like holy light basically, and unholy light? Or are these contained well enough that there's none of that radiation?
Well, probably not when they're in the middle.
Why? Yeah, I mean, they did collide in the middle, and we've established that there's some weakening to that chamber. Why don't you give me... He has an Arcana rating, right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, it is as good as my religion.
Then please roll it for me.
Okay.
No. But
Okay, well, it's a 4.
It's not a 1.
9, so 13.
Oh my god.
It's powered by the abyss, everyone.
Yeah.
It's not a. So here's what I'll say.
I mean, I will say Balmo is a little bit
knows-
looking for confirmation bias here.
Oh. Yeah. Balmo knows that among other things in the universe, there is radiant energy and there is shadow energy. And the white light things, certainly he would buy that they could be made out of radiant energy. And the black light things, again, he would certainly buy that they could, that's sort of that quality where they like glow with the absence of light. That certainly matches shadow energy.
Mm-hmm.
How many of these things are in each chamber? Like
too many to count. I mean, they're moving around a lot, and they're several deep. So I mean, it's jelly bean guessing.
Okay,
I was gonna say, it really is like the jellyfish tank at the aquarium.
It is absolute. I mean, other than the fact that they're not quite exactly like jellyfish.
Right,
It's like
in
the
terms of amount and...
Yeah.
Okay. So Latchkey is going to ask the cylinder creature, how long have you been serving the princess?
Since I was built.
Can you show us where you were built?
I was not built inside the princess.
Where were you built? Can we get there from the transportation room?
The iris is closed again, like maybe that's symbolizing its thinking. I was built at the Archmage. The Archmage is another card in 3 Dragon Handy.
What's its number?
That's 9.
Okay.
The Archmage is fair.
Yes.
There's only one of each number, so it might be that they're all the fair cards.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that like that instinct is on the nose rather than just making the assumption.
Right.
And also there may be a whole lot of other cubes somewhere that are all the foul ones.
Mm-hmm. How long before this chamber becomes irreparable?
I do not have the knowledge to predict that information.
What would happen if we were to shut off the outer tank's access to the center tank? I feel like we have to replace that cylinder.
That would entail shutting down the reactor.
Yes. What is the reactor doing?
If the reactor were to shut down, the princess would unfold.
That doesn't sound great.
No.
So you're going to fix this thing while it's running then? Wait, what exactly is wrong with it?
There are a bunch of cracks in it. They've been sealed.
And that's what he's indicating is like wrong that needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that an in-character? Was what exactly is wrong with it an in-character question?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay. The in-character answer is the protective housing has cracked in several places. I've made repairs, but cannot replace the protective housing.
Do you like the supplies or the capacity?
Both.
What is the protective housing built of? From? What material?
Astral diamond.
Oh,
I would like
that's-
to make an Arcana check on that. I'm guessing I've never personally heard that.
Go ahead and make an Arcana check.
I go ahead and give myself +5. 37.
Ooh.
Astral diamond is what the gods use instead of cash.
Oh, Jesus.
that was not how I thought that sentence was going to end.
Yeah, I was not expecting that either.
Like, instead of carrying around a bag full of gold pieces, in heaven they have a bag full of very small diamonds.
So, like, in order to get astral diamonds, you basically have to go to the astral plane.
Basically, the point is, this is like saying this is made out of the dreams of children, right? It is something so out there, probably mythological. Like that's a nonsense answer. Or if it's a real answer, it's unbelievably large as an amount of something that's supposed to be incredibly rare.
Mm. Oh, wait. Latchkey would know any of that anyway.
I mean, I explained that to everybody.
Who built this place?
The Chimera Project.
Can I tell if the robot is being sarcastic?
Can you tell if the robot is being sarcastic?
Yes.
So, I mean, I think we've established that relic folk are capable of fairly conventional speech intonation.
Mm-hmm.
This thing doesn't vary its speech at all, so it doesn't show that capacity.
Okay.
Relic folk also have body language, maybe not conventional to most other humanoids, but they have body language.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have a conventional body with which to express that language. It doesn't have any tells that Ash would recognize as sarcasm.
There's nothing that I would take away from this is it's either actively misleading or pulling our chain. Particularly.
Correct. Yes.
Everyone conference?
Latchkey sort of taps their forehead and says, in everyone's mind, yes?
What are we hoping to accomplish here?
I would like to find Callista. She's got to be here somewhere.
I would like to give Wenta some of these here astral diamonds. He's
These things. Oh, sorry.
surreptitiously kind of scanning the floor for any little chips that have gone astray.
If these things are truly made of astral diamonds, it seems very unlikely that we have any capacity to repair them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also unclear if how cataclysmic the princess unfolding would be. We're looking at places we don't understand, types of magic and mechanical structures we've never seen, controlled by an organization we don't know of that seems to be very old and extremely powerful. So this could potentially be a problem.
I suggest that we ask the voice to direct us to either Callista or any other person or whatever that can perhaps fill in more information for us.
While you're all standing around silently,
Gesturing.
Silently gesturing. The construct has now turned its attention towards Ash, and seems to be irising up, like larger and smaller, tilts its whole body in order to sort of examine up close with its one eye different parts of Ash.
Oh, the penny draft.
I'm going to kind of look over at it, not do anything different quite yet. It's just kind of investigating me up close.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
You are a Type 4 humanoid effigy with an arcane difference engine and an elemental reservoir with a pyromantic tendency. What are you doing here?
Damn.
Carrying around this crate?
It looks down at the crate. Did you bring that crate from the Draco Lich with you?
What?
No. We haven't been to the Dracolich yet. Today.
All Type 4 humanoid effigies are made at the Draco Lich.
Today!
What?
Mm-hmm.
It moves on from examining Ash. It is. Whether it's satisfied or not, it's satisfied that it is done examining Ash.
So hang on. Does each one of these places, like say the Draco Lich, have its own little power source?
There are many power sources at the Draco Lich.
But I mean, we could get probably some of your, I don't know, astral diamonds from there, right? You probably have extra parts.
They should have materials adequate for the repair of the reactor at the Dracolich, yes. But materials adequate for the repair of the reactor should also be found here at the Chimera.
Wait, this one's the Chimera?
This is all the Chimera.
This is the Princess. The Princess is part of the Chimera.
Is the Dracolich also part of the Chimera?
The Dracolich is different from the Chimera. That's why it is the Dracolich.
Is there a Dracolich project?
I do not believe that you are part of the Chimera project.
God damn it.
So quick before we all get in trouble with the robot here. Is the Dracolich the card associated with the fowl?
Yeah, it's like the foul Chimera.
Well,
sort of.
In the game as you understand it, it is a unique card. And it would be fair to associate it with the foul, because Dracoliches in general are not considered to be good. But it's a unique card, so it doesn't have any of the associations. You could have compared... If you had a whole deck of the new deck, you could look at the cards side by side, and you could probably make some inferences from that. But I don't think you just took the cards out of the deck. So... Oh, wait, but we established that you have one of the new decks, right, Ash?
Yes.
Yeah, you were playing with it.
I took one.
So you can if you get the deck out, you can probably go through it and figure this out.
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, actually, I'll do that.
Okay, so Ash just like fishes out his cards and he's like thumbing through. Meanwhile, the robot is saying, "Explain yourself immediately. You do not belong here."
They are my guests.
I do not believe you are Orgnention. Orgnention would know more than you.
I was trained by him, but this is part of my initiation.
You cannot answer basic questions about the Chimera Project. If you do not depart the princess at once, I will be forced to empty the holding cells.
No, that's not going to be good at all.
And in that time, during the threat exchange, Ash, you can find this deck's Chimera card and its Dracolich card, and see that based on the facing and the markings on the cards, it's like the Dracolich card is sorted to foul and the Chimera is sorted to fair.
Okay, so just kind of like spot checking my logic here, which I'm going to try to come up with really quick. So then it's fair to assume, based on the things that we've just heard, that the Chimera, the name, is applied to a whole network of these stations or cubes or whatever they are, which are collectively considered to be part of the Chimera, and have the names of the fair cards. And then, conversely, the Dracolich might be a completely different network of those, with different cubes or whatever named after the foul cards. That's the pattern that seems to present itself based on the information that we've just got.
With the caveat that you've only seen the mortal cards, at least the numerical values of the mortal cards.
Right.
And there's a whole set of further numerical, 10 through 14 are all dragons.
Okay.
You haven't seen any evidence of those. But other than that, yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable set of guesses.
Okay, I gotta hop up for a second.
Okay.
That's it this week for the Chimera. Our theme music is Hoof, Heart, and Hiss by Matt Weber. You can find a link to more of Matt's work and any other music used in this episode in the show notes. You can also find us online at thechimera.space or on Twitter and Facebook at ChimeraPod. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or just telling your friends. Join us back here in 2 weeks for the next episode, and thanks for listening.
So far, no holograms, though.
So far.
Why would there be holograms?
I guess I associate holograms with the Illuminati thing mostly because, like, I associate Tupac with the Illuminati thing.
Oh, I see. That's really weird.
No, I'm not following that one.